we're a lost race in a great country. We are third world living in America right now.
A lot of people think, how are you going to bring hope to a hopeless place?
For 500 years they've tried to kill us off, and for 500 years we keep coming back.
I'd call a friend of mine. He said, we need to become better riders, you know, and we start talking about the history of the horse and how when the horse was brought to us, it was foreign to us, it was new to us, we didn't know what they were. We had names for horses like elk dog, because we didn't know how to explain them. But we learned to ride them. We learned how to use them, and we became so good at that we became better riders than the people that brought them here. So we need to apply this mentality to the system. And so when it comes to voting, I tell everybody, you know, we need to become better riders.
Today we are here to knock doors. We're canvassing in the Crow Agency area, and that's capital for the reservation. We're here and we're gonna try to get see if these guys will register to vote and become members of Western Native Voice. So Western Native Voice, we get out and we try to get people registered to vote, because we have 19 Native Americans running for the public office in the state of Montana across the state right now.
There's this mindset that, oh, it's just one vote, so my vote doesn't count, so I'm not going to vote at all. And like, that's insane, because there's so many Native people. I mean, in Montana especially, like, we have the power if every one of us voted.
When it comes to voting, I feel like a lot of people don't do it just because you know, look where we live, look where our environment is, you know, there's only a few of us that are employed. They just gotta worry about, you know, putting food on the table. It's
not trusting the system itself, not trusting the government, you know, when our history with the government has been so negative. You know, policies weren't created for us back then, they were created against us. You know, there was actual policies to terminate Native Americans, you know, our way of life, our culture.
Voting is a luxury when you have to worry about food and clothing for the children.
You know, we have 7 reservations in Montana, and every single one of them is the third world.
Nobody's ever seen like our living conditions.
Yeah.
Our houses.
Definitely.
Our roofs. I mean, having no water for, you know, a year, months.
Having no water and perceiving it as normal. So like going to someone's house and, oh, my water is off, so we'll have to go like to the store to use the restroom. Oh, all right, that's normal.
Tribal nations are what we call quasi-sovereign. We're our own nation. We have our own system of government within each tribe, but we also abide by state and federal law. We have a direct government-to-government relationship with the state and federal government.
We have an average income level that's well below our state's average. In our state, Montana is well below the national average, so we're really dealing with conditions of poverty.
We on reservations are kind of in a gap, like a hole in the federal government, because the jurisdiction is federal, so we can't like use county help or policing, and there's so many laws that are ignored. I mean, if someone non-native comes on a reservation and commits a crime, which it happens all the time, it just kind of falls into this loophole and that person is never held accountable.
Yeah.
It's almost like the wild, wild west here on the reservation.
It is.
So it's like a safe haven, I think, for criminals.
That's why we've been so susceptible to, you know, the drug crisis, the opioid crisis, the meth crisis.
So 7 years ago, we had a triple homicide here, and my brother and his wife were like victims of that. This is not an uncommon occurrence, and I was really young, like I was in high school still. I lost a brother and a sister, And I just kind of like got it tattooed after coming to peace with it, because right around the time that happened, Orion was like right in my backyard. And then I also read this like Alaskan Inuit proverb, and it was like, the stars that we see is just the light of our loved ones shining through.
We don't have it easy. We don't get free money. We don't get free health care, you know. We are suffering.
So our schools have to operate without the tax monies. We do have some federal money that is provided in lieu of tax, but it doesn't even come near to the kind of tax resource that comes into the normal public schools. We have some of the lower scores and standardized tests that we can see the evidence of poorly supported schools.
We just fall in a blind spot in America, which isn't acceptable. We're the people who were here first. We're the people who built this country before it was taken from us.
I think that the piece here that's missing is tying these issues to solutions and showing them that voting is part of the solution.
I was the lead plaintiff in a voting rights case. We had to get the county and the school district to redistrict, to redraw the lines. And so the election system then would have a majority Indian district. So you'd have a really good chance, not guaranteed, but a good chance of getting an American Indian elected. And the court judge mandated in his decision that those lines be redrawn. It makes a huge difference when American Indians are in those offices, an enormous difference. We have a high degree of alcoholism among our community. About 40% of our adults are alcoholics. They use alcohol to address their sadness, their injury, their we call it the intergenerational trauma that came from loss of land, loss of culture, loss of language, and really loss of loved ones. And we know that that contributes to a great deal to the use of drugs and alcohol.
When we're talking about, historical trauma and still trying to heal that from that, we're still trying to reclaim our culture that was stripped from us because of the government.
How my father grew up with his hands that were permanently broken and deformed. They took him and his siblings into the boarding school at the mission, and every tribe reservation was given a church house to Christianize us. His siblings were crying, so he went to talk to them to comfort them. And so he starts signing using our sign language, and they came back and they beat him, so they broke his fingers. They beat the language out of him.
Grown-ups your guys' age, we feel like they were the ones who really suffered the most from it, just because, drinking and drugs, and now we could break this cycle, and we really feel like it might stop.
You do see things happening now with our youth standing up. The older ones had it tough, had it really rough, and we want to change that.
A huge stereotype that we have to overcome is that Native Americans were defeated, that we don't exist anymore, that we're extinct, but when in fact we are even more powerful than before because we have voting power, we have voices, and we're learning how to use them.
Are you guys registered to vote?
Hey, I'm a felon.
It's fine. Felons can vote. The only time a felon can't vote is if they're incarcerated.
Really?
And felons vote matter too.
What are we voting for?
We're just turning our state blue. You guys like to register?
It's down. You good?
Will you?
I'll try it.
Alright, right on. It's gotta change, you know what I mean?
Hey, that's badass. Is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Oh man,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. So now you are going to be able to vote.
Awesome.
Yep.
Now you can go do
Thank you.
We have a very vital way of life. We're not simply a brown neighborhood waiting for some kind of assistance from someone. We have a very rich background in our history. For us, for the Crow people, we have been in this area probably since 1200. And so we know these mountains, we know where the rivers are. This is an area that we are intimately involved with.
We're a really resilient people. We have come through a lot. And for 500 years they've tried to kill us off. And for 500 years we keep coming back.